All right, this is the video notes for slides 6 through 8. All right, so this one says if f of x equals x to the fifth plus 7x over 3x squared, find f prime of x. All right, so there's two ways that we can do this. The first way is to rewrite this thing by taking f of x and splitting it up into x to the fifth over 3x squared plus 7x over 3x squared. All right, now remember, you can only do this if there's a single term in the denominator. Remember, a term is something added or subtracted, right? So if there's one term in the denominator, we can do this. If it was flipped, we could not do this. All right, so then we simplify and we get that f of x is x to the fifth over x squared. So that can reduce to 1/3 x cubed plus, and this would become 7/3, and this is x over x squared, so that would be x to the negative first. All right, so now we're ready to take the derivative. All right, so we take f prime of x. Notice I write f of x equals f of x equals, now I write f prime of x equals. All right, so I bring the 3 in front, so 3 times 1/3, right? And then x squared. All right, and then I bring the -1 in front, so I have minus 1 times 7/3 x to the negative second, right? So I can simplify a little bit. 3 times 1/3 is obviously just 1, so I have x squared, and then this one minus 7/3, and then I have x to the negative second. Of course, I could write that over x squared. Okay, now that is one way it could be written. But we could also, get a common denominator if we wanted, right? So we could have x squared minus 7 over 3x squared. So then I would need a 3x squared in this denominator, and I would need a 3x squared in the numerator. All right, and so then that means that I could have 3x to the fourth minus 7 over 3x squared, right? All right, so that could be f prime of x. Now remember, any one of these versions is technically correct, all right? But if you're on a multiple choice, you got to find the multiple choice answer. Now, that's one way. What's the other way? Well, the other way would be to use the quotient rule, right? So right away, I go right into f prime of x, all right? And I recognize that the numerator would be u and the denominator would be v, so f prime of x. All right, so remember, the quotient rule says denominator 3x squared times the derivative of the numerator. So the derivative of the numerator would be 5x to the fourth plus 7, all right, minus the numerator, x to the fifth plus 7x times the derivative of the denominator, which would be 6x, all right, all divided by the denominator squared. So that'd be 3x squared squared. All right. So now I need to simplify. Technically, these should be the same, all right? And so I need to simplify to make sure that that is true. All right, so I have 15x to the sixth, all right? And then I have plus 21x squared. And then here I'm distributing the 6x, but I'm also distributing a minus. So minus 6x to the fifth, all right? And then I have minus 42. Sorry, that should be 6x to the sixth, all right? And then minus 42x squared, all right? And then all divided by, now in the denominator, this should be 9x to the fourth. All right, so 15x to the sixth minus 6x to the sixth gives me 9x to the sixth. All right. And then I have a 21x squared minus 42x squared, so minus a 21x squared all over 9x to the fourth. All right, and so lastly, I can simplify a little bit further. I can factor out a 3x squared in the numerator, so I'm left with a 3x to the fourth minus 21. No, not minus 21, minus 7. All right, and then divided by, I've got, well, 9x to the fourth, I can reduce here, right? So a 9 and a 3 gives me a 3, and an x squared and x to the fourth gives me an x squared. So I am left with 3x to the fourth minus 7 over 3x squared, which is obviously the same as before, right? So there's a lot of algebra going on there, but you still need to make sure you can do the derivative both different ways. All right, so that's slide 6. All right. So slide 7, now kind of similar here. We've got two things here, so we could consider this a u times a v, and we could use the product rule, or we could just multiply it out. All right, so the first way I'm going to do this is I'm going to multiply this out. So I've got 3x times 2x squared, so I get 6x cubed. All right, then I've got minus 4x squared, and then I've got plus 15x. All right, and then I've got minus 10. All right, so now I'm going to take the derivative of this. Notice I write f of x equals. Now I'm writing f prime because now I'm applying the derivative rules. All right, 6x cubed. All right, so that would be 18x squared minus 8x plus 15. All right, so that's our derivative. Now that way is pretty easy. All right, but now the other way we could do it would be to use the product rule, right? So I'm going to take f prime of x equals. All right, so product rule says take the first thing, 3x minus 2 times the derivative of the second thing, so that would be 4x, and then plus the second thing, 2x squared plus 5 times the derivative of the first thing, which would just be 3. Now, this is the same as this version over here, but we need to make sure we can simplify and to show that it is. All right, so 3x times 4x is 12x squared minus 8x, and then plus 6x squared plus 15. All right, so now we simplify a little further. All right, and we have 12x squared and 6x squared, so 18x squared minus 8x plus 15, right? So obviously these are the same. All right, so these are two different ways of doing that problem. All right, moving on to slide number 8. All right, so now this one, okay, let's just do this one way. What would be the easiest way? Well, the easiest way would be to multiply out both the numerator and denominator first. All right, so notice I'm going to write f of x equals. All right, so if I multiply out, I get x squared. I get a plus 2x minus 4x, so I get a minus 2x minus 8. And then divided by this one, x squared plus 3x minus 3x, so minus 9. All right, so this one, do I have multiple options for taking the derivative of this? Well, the answer is no, okay? Because I can't split this up because I have two terms in the denominator. All right, so now all I'm going to do is I'm going to use the quotient rule. All right, so f prime of x equals, all right, remember, quotient rule says denominator x squared minus 9 times the derivative of the numerator, so that'd be 2x minus 2, minus the numerator x squared minus 2x minus 8 times the derivative of the denominator, which is 2x, all right, all divided by the denominator x squared minus 9 quantity squared. All right, so now we should simplify. All right, so f prime of x is, all right, I need to multiply this out, so x squared times 2x, so 2x cubed minus 2x squared minus 18x and then plus 18. All right, now here I'm distributing the 2x and I'm distributing the minus sign. So minus 2x squared plus 4x. Sorry, that would be minus 2x cubed plus 4x squared and then plus 16x. All divided by x squared minus 9 quantity squared. All right, so now I have a 2x cubed minus 2x cubed, so those subtract out. I have a minus 2x squared and a plus 4x squared, so that gives me a plus 2x squared minus 18x plus 16x, so minus 2x, and then I have a plus 18. All right, all divided by x squared minus 9 quantity squared. All right, and so that would be f prime of x. All right, so that is slide number 8. All right, and so that